Welcome to She Speaks Bravo with Emily Hanks. I am Emily, obviously. And today I'm talking about Southern Charm, episode 4, and I'm not too happy about it. Okay. I'll get into why. But before I do that, if you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you'd love to subscribe, please do. I do lots of Bravo recaps, and sometimes I do some true crime. And if you're already a subscriber, love you, mean it. Thank you so, so much. All right, let's get into it. My name is Emily, and I have been watching Bravo TV as a form of self-care for over a decade. Needless to say, I'm a complete mess. Subscribe and follow along for painfully insightful recaps about Bravo, true crime, and other great TV. Hit that bell. Okay, so first of all, let me explain. If you're new here, I don't normally wear sunglasses for Southern Charm. I usually reserve the shades for my Beverly Hills recap when I do a little faux glam. But in case you can't tell, I'm just going to acknowledge I sound a little nasally. I'm having some sort of insane allergy issue. I woke up and I was like scratching and rubbing my eyes. And I was just blowing my nose, and I went to brush my teeth. The area all around my eyes is bright red. I've got my tissues here. I'm going to do my best not to sniffle into the mic the whole time. And I was going to wait to maybe do it tomorrow, but I don't have time. So that's the story of that. But now let's get into why I'm upset with Southern Charm. Okay. So Southern Charm last week was a filler episode, but it wasn't the worst filler episode. We still got a little something. But here's what last week's theme was. It was a lot of buildup to nothing. So like the Craig and Austen talk. It was this, we thought something was going to happen. Nothing really happened. No one shared any more tea. No one outed anything, and they made up, and that's it. And then Madison got engaged, and she announced it on Amazon Live, and that was built up. Like Craig came in and was like, oh my God, Austin's going to be so upset. And then they watched it together, and nothing happened. He was like, fuck her. And that was it. And then Kathryn and Chleb, even though they ended in a breakup, we don't know them enough. So this isn't hitting hard. Like I have no connection to this relationship at all. So this storyline is tough for me because I don't care if they break up or don't. Like the whole point of it's like a typical TV show formula. You know, if you have love interests, first you have to take a while to get them together, then they get together, and then if they break up, you're sad because you've been with them. But I'm like, I don't know Chleb, and Kathryn doesn't seem to like him, and he seems to like her. But I feel like, okay, well, anyway, so I watched this episode real bitter because they released the first 5 minutes of next week's, which they should have included in this week's, because every scene is okay. Here we go. So the first interesting scene, which we've already got a preview of because we had that last week. They released the preview, the first 5 minutes. So we've already seen this. Austen calls his parents, and we get this really long bit about how they're selling his childhood house and he's going to have to go, and all the memories of throwing parties there and blah, 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 like young pictures of Austen. And the end of that conversation, maybe 3 minutes, is his parents bringing up Madison getting engaged. And they're like, I'm just glad it wasn't you. And And that's it. Okay. Thank you very much. Glad we did that. And now we have next scene, another bit about Whitney being a bad butler for Patricia. I mean, this goes on and on. The bar that they have is all dirty and needs to be renovated. And he can't figure out how to carry the bottle of champagne and the glasses. And she's like, let me help you. He's like, no, I got it. And this goes on for a while. And then Madison and Venita come over or Madison first, and they're making fun of Whitney having a t-shirt on. And as soon as Venita gets there, he's like, okay, bye. How many times are we really supposed to believe that she doesn't have another butler? Like it's Whitney? We're really supposed to believe that she is relying solely on Whitney? I can't imagine. And okay, now let's get into this scene, which is Madison. This is supposed to be Madison's like I won season, basically, right? Because she's now engaged. I'm sorry. I know I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is crazy to me to get engaged this soon. This is nuts. She's like, I knew right when I met him. Okay. Then try dating for like a year, at least 6 months. That's nothing. And I get he seems like a great guy, but look, I get more locals from Charleston sending me DMs than any other franchise on any other TV show. So I don't know if it's just a bunch of gossips, but I hear people say that they've seen Madison and her fiance fighting all the time. I mean, it tracks. It's a whirlwind romance, and it's so Instagram heavy. Lots of posing, lots of look how happy we are. And this just seems very manic. And maybe I'm not the target audience for this, because I'm like, who gets married so quickly? Like, I say 5 years minimum before you decide you should marry someone. And so she's telling this story, and also her teeth in her confessional, by this point, she's got her teeth done. They are distracting. She's addressed it on her social media because they are distracting. Whatever. I think she had temporaries in, but even now her permanents, like they're too big. The people getting the teeth done. It's a reality TV thing. I'm sure you see yourself on camera, and it's like I see myself on camera and I get it, but oh my God, it's so distracting. But okay, enough of that. They talk about this joint birthday. Now, Madison and Venita are like best friends, even in real time. They've been doing press together and stuff. So they are friends like in real life. But the way Madison treats Venita with this whole birthday is strange for a best friend from start to finish. She even says at my party, our party, like, so she's setting it up. And even if this was like production getting involved and being like, we really want to like, play up this whole thing that it's like, you're kind of stepping on Venita's party, then it's shitty that she'd be willing to do that. Cause I don't think production, this isn't like, that's kind of why I like, that's why I like Bravo, is they don't do that much manipulating where they literally change a full narrative, like direct you completely. They can set up a scene because they want to capture dialogue. Like if something happens, they'll be like, okay, shit, we need to get that on camera. So we're going to go have a lunch with you guys so you can have that conversation again. But it already happened. So yes, it's kind of happening unorganically, but then once they start talking, it's organic. Does that make sense? I feel like I didn't explain that great, but so if Madison is just doing this because producers were like, hey, we really need you to kind of stir up some drama with this, she's just being messy to be messy. But even her own friend, I don't love that. And let's keep in mind Venita is again the only Black cast member. I'm not including Caleb because he's barely on the show and he's only with Kathryn, but I guess I should include him because he's trying to be on the show. But she was there last season when Kathryn was not forced to be held accountable on camera for what she said. And I will get way more into this, but I feel really bad for Venita because in any other work environment, because this is her job now, she's getting paid to film. If you had to be around someone that you knew made racist remarks and let's put racially insensitive remarks, and they never acknowledged it, and in fact turned themselves into a victim over the whole thing, that would be pretty difficult. That would not be easy. So, okay, moving on to Shep and Taylor's date, which, like, it was interesting one time, two times, but this is going to get real old. Okay. Shep being a dick, Taylor telling him about her needs, him proving he's not going to meet them. He's not the guy. She stuffs her feelings somewhere. Repeat. How many times are we going to do this? She's like, he says, I don't know. He says something like, wow, that was what a tough situation we were just in. And she's like, how was it tough for you, Shep? And he's like, you're being very flippant about my feelings. And she's like, you didn't feel anything. And by the way, you didn't even ask me one time how I felt. And that is crazy. She's the one who's going to be pregnant. Not one time. He's like, well, not one time. Think about that. Not one time. So that right there, it's like, you don't really need any other hints or flags or warning signs or whatever the word is, because that's bad. And he says at one point, well, because she's like, I don't know if I were to be pregnant, if you would step up to the plate. And he's like, what do you think I'm doing here? What am I doing? And she's like, I don't know, actually. And he goes, wow, I guess I'm not a safe bet. And then she says, you're kind of not. He goes, really? That's so rude. Oh my God, this conversation is reminding me. And if any conversation between a girlfriend and a boyfriend or husband and a wife reminds me of a relationship I had with this guy named Brian. Okay. Brian was a bartender and he was like he was the Jax. Imagine Jax, except not half as hot. And I know you're like, ew, Jax isn't hot. Remember Jax in the beginning before we knew. Jax was good looking, okay? But he fucked everyone, and he was a total drunk, but like so was I. And so he had a good friend named Erin. I was good friends with Erin. She was from Boston. She was a lesbian. So like she didn't have any attraction to Brian. And like I was just friends with Erin, and Brian and I were just like, hey, we're bros. And so the three of us would go out and just terrorize the town, blacking out all over the place. And eventually Brian and I hooked up because we were like wasted blackout one night. And it was terrible. It was like 2 seconds. And I think I even complained openly. I just gave him shit all the time. He called me Gunner because I was just gunning him down all the time. And I called him Bulldozer because he would just bulldoze everything. So this relationship was based on us being assholes to each other. But eventually you spend all this time together because like this very dysfunctional relationship formed. And I eventually was like, listen, I want more from this. So I'm going to stop hanging out. This is over like a year. Oh my God, that's so sad to say. And wow, not bragging, obviously. And after I said that to him and would like pull away and not come over all the time and spend the night and be there like 5 nights a week, he would try to pull me back in. And when I would say things like, but I want more and you don't want that. And he'd be like, well, I mean, that's so rude. Of course I do. And he would be offended that I would like say the things he was saying to me. He'd be offended. But well, I mean, that's not fair. I'm like, those are your words. And that's exactly what Shep is doing right now. Shep is saying like, well, I mean, I don't know what I want. I'm not sure what I want. I mean, God, it was so scary because for 3 whole days, I thought maybe my whole life was going to change. And she's like, hi, but you didn't even ask me how I felt. He's like, well, I mean, and then she's like, yeah, you're kind of not a safe bet. Wow, that's so rude. This is going to just get really old if it's a whole season of this because it does look abusive after a while because she's such a little mouse. She's so like quiet and Shep and he's like, but I want you, which is what Brian used to say. And it got me because I had no self-esteem. And I mean, I'm still, and if you've been following me from the beginning, thank you so much because you know that this podcast was started just to honestly, my therapist was like, you need to do it just for your own confidence. And so Taylor needs to find confidence. Because until she does, this is just going to keep going. But as a fan watching a show, this is ugly. And it's like, we're going to watch this continue. And then remember, he went to watch What Happens Live, like in real time recently. And it seemed his answer made it seem like nothing's changed. Andy asked, have you guys had any conversations about the future? And that answer was all the same thing he's saying now. Yes, we've discussed that I basically don't have a clue what I want. And she's sort of kind of on board with that. So I'm not loving that this is another, like this sort of seemed like it would be interesting, but it's not evolving at all. So, fine. This was an interesting-ish scene, but not really because nothing's happening. Same cycle. Oh God, then this next scene. Oh my God. Okay, so I don't normally like to do like hate watching or hate recapping, which is why I only did one episode of Ultimate Girls Trip 2. But I am going to shamelessly drag this scene because so Olivia meets Kathryn for lunch. Kathryn's tits are out. Kathryn's outfit is unhinged. I'm sorry. She's gained a little weight when she purchased this outfit to now, the time that she's wearing it. It's like, it's okay, girl. It doesn't fit you anymore. So she's shoving her titties in there. I mean, look, they look fantastic. I wanted to motorboat those things, but it's like, okay, she's making a point. I get it. Fine. And they're just sitting there and talking a little bit about, how she kind of had her back at the party with Naomi. And then Austen sends a text to Olivia and it's like, and she reads it. She's like, you and Kathryn take down the mean girls. And there's just lots of giggling and talking about like, do I like him? I think I do like him. And this is so boring. And then Kathryn talks about Caleb and nothing innovative was discussed at all. At all. And that was it. That was it. Could have been cut. Cut that scene. Cut it. We learned nothing, got nothing out of it. And here, okay, fine. Next scene is Caleb and Chelsea, his cousin. And maybe this was necessary because like I would like to get to know Caleb. I have no idea what the hell's happening with him. And so Chelsea is how he met Kathryn. Chelsea and Chelsea's girlfriend. Chelsea is a man. I know that's a little confusing, but Chelsea is a man, and Chelsea's girlfriend and Kathryn, they all hung out, I guess, and that's how Caleb met. So that's the connection. And Caleb's been staying like at Chelsea's house, like on his couch, and Caleb's like, he's like, man, it's just been so rough, and we've been together a long time. They've been dating for a year. And Chelsea's like, that's a long time, man. And it just really tells me how like emotionally immature and relationshiply immature. That isn't a phrase, but you know what I mean? Like, okay, so that's where we are here. And Kathryn is not in that place. Kathryn has a whole 2 babies with a man who she's still in a custody battle with. So she needs like an advanced level relationshipler, if that makes sense. I'm just making up words over here. Ooh, maybe I am a little high from my allergy medicine because I'm like, my head's kind of floaty. It's kind of fun. And as I predicted, Caleb is just not built for deep emotional conversations. He's literally like his face is just he's like, my face just doesn't make emotional faces. Like I can't, she's like, she wants me to have a sad face and I just don't have a sad face. And he's like, I feel things, but it's just not me. And again, Kathryn needs like a complex type of person. She's, toxic, and I'm toxic. So I'm speaking from experience. Like I only attracted people that had this type of like layers of shit, basically. And it seems like Caleb is just not like that. I think he's just a little bit more simple in terms of like, I don't need to be fighting and picking. And it seems like maybe he's just not really skilled on how to make women happy, because unfortunately there is a lot of sacrificing your own needs when it comes to, like, he keeps saying things like she's not caring about what I feel. And I kind of hear that, and I would like to know more of that. I want to just like sit down and ask him more questions, because they're not asking him the right questions. Because a lot of the time my ex would say that, and half the time I'm thinking like, that's just dating a woman sometimes. Like, we're always right. Happy wife, happy life kind of a thing. And he just feels very immature, and he's not used to like compromising. And but that's an easy fix. Those are like easy kind of relationship woes. But what I'm gathering from this more is that he thought he was dating some fun, free loving chick. And she's like, no, you're about to be a stepdad. And I am sure the whole thing with Thomas is not as simple as like, her dealing with a few phone calls here and there. I'm sure there's some depth to it. And he's like, I don't even have it in me to know how to help you out. So I think I just don't think he should. I mean, I'm glad they broke up, to be honest. It's not fair for him. So, okay, see what I just did? I made a whole lot out of a very small scene. It was still not that interesting of a scene. I don't really know, Caleb. So you're welcome, Southern Charm, for making that more interesting than it actually really was. Okay, so I'm still pissed. We're still in filler. Okay, I won't give that full filler. That was a little filler. But okay. Now moving on to messy Madison. She calls Kathryn to invite her to the party. And, excuse me. Of course, Kathryn's like, isn't that going to be kind of a problem for Venita? And Madison's like, I mean, no. And then in the confessional, the producers like force Madison to say, why are you inviting Kathryn? But production's like, because you have to. So she's like uncomfortable. She's like, I'm inviting Kathryn and Olivia because Venita was allowed to have her guests, and so I'm allowed to have my guests. And I'm like, that was so stupid to have her answer like that. Like you're telling her to invite, but Madison's being really messy and like I'm I know everyone likes Madison because she's like, you know, I don't know, dynamic and messy and whatever, but I think she's a bitch. I said it. There, I said, I'm gonna live in my truth. I don't love Madison, okay? She's also fucking mean. She's been mean online so many times. And I'm pretty sure she like Kelly Dodd had to do one of her many apologies. I think she insulted the trans community. And Madison commented on that post and was like, people are so sensitive. So FYI. Anywho, I know what I'm about to say is a little bit shocking, but Austen and Craig golfing was actually a really entertaining scene. When you can just like watch them interacting and forget about the horribleness and take it as just like a comedy scene, it's like it, to be honest, it was very funny. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But this was like the most interesting part of the episode. Because of course they cut the could be most interesting part of the episode by going into a cliffhanger when they absolutely should have included it because we did not deserve another filler episode. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me they don't have enough content. And you know what is also going to happen, because it happens to every show, every single season. They take a week off. So there's going to be a week coming up at some point where you're going to be waiting to watch Southern Charm, and it's not going to be on because they always take 1 week off. So you're going to give me 2 filler episodes in a row, and you're going to take a week off? I don't think so. Huh. Okay. So Austen starts off. So he's like, got his golf clubs. He's like, yeah, so we're trying to go down into whatever market, it's going to increase production 10 times. And Craig yawns. He's like, that's exciting. Craig has no desire, even though Craig likes to do this shit to people. Craig has like no desire to even pretend like Austen is a businessman. But Austen invites Craig to do like the whole go to his parents' house and move his stuff out and whatnot. And like, that's fun. Okay, we'll do that. And this is a good filming thing to do. That's a good one. It's good content. Fine. But then they do Austen's like, I like Olivia. I'm going to text her. This text scene was fun. It was fun. And I did actually appreciate all the different drafts they went through and where they landed. Hey, comma, so I think you should clear your schedule and we should day drink tomorrow. There were a few that were a little rude. It was like, hey, clear your schedule and drink with me tomorrow. I was like, some of them were aggressive. This was, because I've done this with my friend. This goes back to like so many years. This was before smartphones existed. And I spent a lot of time crafting the perfect text only to get like a 1-word response. But Austen, he sends it and he's like, that'll be good. Hang with her and then get out of town for a second. And Craig goes, yeah, tell her how you feel and then run. Which is so appropriate. Tell her how you feel and then be kind of unavailable via phone because you have bad cell reception so that she can be left freaked out. A little on her toes. That is so accurate. But yeah, I get it. It's like we don't like Craig and Austen, but in that scene on the golf course, fine. Okay, now to this party. Do you see how much? Now we're already at the party. Okay, but the amount of filler they have in this damn party. So Madison arrives and she's like, oh, how great. Oh, whatever. Then Venita arrives and she sees the Kathryn place card. Madison is like, yeah, I was thinking good vibes. And then they flash back to when Madison could have absolutely told Venita 4 days prior. They were literally going through the entire guest list. Like Every single person. Uh-uh. And but and then Venita's trying her best, but she can't help it. She's like, I am still tripping on the fact that you invited Kathryn. Now hold on. Okay, because it's one thing to invite Olivia because Venita had like a little tiny thing with Olivia and that can be squashed. But the Kathryn of it all for Venita is deep. And how are they acting like it's not? How are they acting like they're just going to throw this person in there that she knows sent these very racially insensitive messages that she's never fucking addressed to Venita? I mean, so this isn't like, you know, when Kathryn invited Naomi and Venita, it's like, Kathryn, you owe it to go up. I mean, come on. As the white people, we do owe it to the black people if we say something racially insensitive and we're going to be working with them. Walk over and say, I'd love to talk to you. And then hear them out. So Venita's like, well, we can change that they're invited, like an hour before they're supposed to show up. And Venita says something very interesting in her confessional. She says, Madison can push buttons and she knows how to do it very well. But it's never crossed my mind that Madison would start to push mine. And I agree. Because you kind of feel like you have it safe when it's your friend. I'm going to adjust my camera real quick. So the guests start arriving. This poor Marcy girl, Shep's cousin, she's having a hard time. She immediately comments, she's like, I'd love to have a glass of champagne, but I can't because I'm pregnant. Girl. Oh. And now, of course, everyone's like, how did he propose, Madison? And here Venita is, all dressed up, looking stunning. And not one of the very few black people in the room, I think one of two, it's her fucking birthday party and she feels left out. This broke my heart. And Madison doesn't give a shit. And look, they're cool now, so I'm clearly being overly sensitive to it because Venita's since moved on. But Kathryn and Olivia on their way to the party, and they're, talking about how they're going to handle it. And Olivia's like, just, keep your cool. And Kathryn's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not dramatic. See, this is where Kathryn kills me because she doesn't have enough self-awareness. She has still managed to be, she's still the baby in her mind. She's still like the little innocent, like I'm just, I don't do anything wrong. Everyone else does it to me. And that's just not true. Everyone has a part, everyone plays a part. And while some may contribute more than others, and there's fault oftentimes, you still contribute. Excuse me one second. Ugh. Being attacked. Okay, so they come in and now we've got like this standoff and Naomi's like, fuck it, I'll be the bigger person. But I wanted to slap this bitch. She's like, I'm going to go say hi to Kathryn. And then in her stupid confessional, she's like, she's got her Diet Coke. And she's like, oh, I'm sick of being the bigger person. Bitch, you're not. Okay. You're mad at her for what she did to Cam, not even to you. Okay. So literally. But then Naomi pulls Olivia aside and I don't know. I want to be on Olivia's side, but she's just kind of bratty too. And she's like, it's just because when they flash back to her getting involved, she was confrontational. And I get, she says it was out of decency because Kathryn wasn't there and you were talking to everyone about it. And I do respect her for that, but she was still a bit confrontational. And it was going to spark a fight in a way. What am I trying to say? She's not as innocent as she's trying to portray. And I'll get into something a little bit later. Because it's a preview for next week. And I'm going to touch on it lightly because I'm going to have to talk about it next week when they actually show it, when they should have shown it this week. But anyway, moving on. They're like, we're cool, right? We're cool. And Olivia's like, yeah, we're cool, but I don't trust her. Well, as you shouldn't. That's fine. I can tell Naomi's like, I really am not going to need to fuck with you. Like, you're clearly going to be, we're good. So there's a moment where Kathryn is hanging with Venita, Leva, and I missed her name. I kept missing her name card when it came up. But there's another girl who is Black. So Kathryn's hanging with these people, these women, excuse me. And, Kathryn tells Venita and Naomi about Caleb and how they broke up. And Venita really makes light of it. She kind of like doesn't want to, she kind of like changes the subject, and she's like, and I don't know, it seemed a little dismissive. I couldn't tell what the angle of it was, but then Leva changes it, and she says, tells a story about how whenever her son plays tennis, because a butterfly flies by, and she's like, oh yeah, whenever my son plays tennis, he's like, oh, butterfly. And Kathryn's like, oh my God, kids are so pure and we have to teach them good things. And unfortunately, our system works against changing that. And Venita is like, she's really thrown off. And I know. I haven't seen it because I haven't really gone looking for it, but I know that a lot of people are going to criticize Venita for how she handled this. And they're going to be like, oh, Venita, she wasn't saying that, like, wrong time, wrong place. I can only imagine how uncomfortable Venita is, because she's like, so we're just going to let this woman not address what happened, and we're going to pretend, and now she's going to say shit like this. And Venita is so uncomfortable. I mean, this was pushed on her last minute. Madison sprung this on her. She didn't have any time to prepare herself emotionally and mentally. And so I don't love it in terms of, on paper, but I actually just feel really bad for Venita. I do. Because here's what in my perfect world, what happened is Venita does that. She goes, hold on, wait. So in that moment of anger you had with she who shall not be named, and you sending the monkey emoji, you're saying the system and we can't teach our kids that. You don't teach your kids that, right? And Kathryn gets obviously defensive and pissed because she doesn't want to talk about this on camera or ever, clearly. And she goes, don't teach them what? And she's like, no, I don't. I wish Kathryn had said, you know what, actually, let's talk. I'd like to talk to you about this, because clearly it's still on your heart. Because as a Black woman, I can only imagine how you feel. It's like proving you learned nothing, Kathryn. So she just gets all pissy and it like clocks it. And so she doesn't know how to, because she's like, now I don't know how to fucking say, like, I want to have a conversation about this, but I don't want to also be the angry Black woman who makes everything about race. And Leva's kind of leaving her out to dry, because Leva wants to move on, because Leva got destroyed last season for being the only one talking about it. And she's probably like, I need a break too. And it's disgusting. Honestly, this is, I was really grossed out by this whole setup for Venita. Like, they just really threw her in there with this person who's I don't know what it's like to be Black. And around someone who you know has said racially insensitive things to a Black woman. I don't know what that feels like. That must feel fucking awful. And then on top of it, you're one of the only two Black people in a room full of very white people. Like, and your best friend has sprung this person on you. So you didn't even have time to prepare, and you're trying your best. And now you're being ignored because everyone's asking Madison how she got proposed to. Like, I wanted to give Venita a big old hug. I felt really, really bad for her. All right. So Patricia arrives again with Whitney as her butler. And now they sit down for the lunch. And before they sit down, though, Patricia has to like tell Madison how to hold her beverage, that her ring faces out. And I'm not this is just not my thing. I just think it's gross to be proud of having so many marriages. It's like, then what the fuck is the point of marriage? Okay. Sorry. I know it's very unpopular, but I think by now, if you've been following me long enough, you know that I don't really have a lot of popular opinions. Okay. And Patricia must be bombed because she gives this toast that makes literally no sense for a TV show. She goes, from this time forward, we have no drama and it's a clean slate. And Leva goes, okay, Patricia, that doesn't make sense. So actually, there may be people who do have issues. So in the spirit of realness, let's fix it because we're filming. When they showed the preview for it, I was like, Leva, don't be messy. But I realized that she was kind of like, why did Patricia say that? Patricia, shh. She's drunk. Bubbles do that, dude. I kept La Marca Prosecco in business. Okay. When I quit drinking, they had a drop in sales in the Valley area of Los Angeles. Like they were like, damn it, did Emily quit? Damn it, we lost another one. So I know how bubbles fuck you up. Okay. And so drunky Patricia over there, big old from this point forward, no more drama. Girl, you forgot how this works. And then unfortunately, Venita does do something that's going to trigger Kathryn, because Kathryn's such a damn hothead and still doesn't see that she needs to, because again, this is sort of proof that Caleb has not been teaching her shit. Remember how he was like, I've been trying to teach her. Clearly not, because she's not acting like it. And Venita goes, all right, fine, let's do it. Let's do one and done. You first, you second. And she points to Olivia and then to Kathryn. And it just makes Kathryn go, what the fuck does that mean, basically? And Patricia, again, her contract, no F words. Patricia, like, just you need to call Whitney. He needs to come pick you up. It's also very hot. So, like, bubbles, heat, they're fucked up. She needs to go home. I think she's, yeah. And so they cliffhang it. We get none of the scene. Ridiculous. So I'm going to touch a little bit on the preview for next week and why I'm not fucking with Olivia. Okay. So Venita is hot. Like, she's like coming in really hot. And as a white woman, I'm not about to tell a Black woman how she should have handled anything in this scenario. Because I have no idea how she feels. Oh my God. If you're watching this and you don't see, like, has anybody not seeing this? Like, God, Madison, your friend, Venita, hello. She's just like, I don't know what's cheers, everyone, cupcakes and bubbles. Isn't it cute? I'm like, bitch, you need to open your eyes. Okay. This is not cool. So eventually she does pull Venita. She does pull aside and she's kind of bitchy to Olivia. However, when she pulls Olivia all the way aside, so it's just the two of them. And Olivia ends up telling her, like, you said something really intense and I just had to walk away. You said racist. And they flash back to Venita saying, you know, Kathryn said some really racist things. And Venita's like, well, that's what happened. And so I need to know that you're not aligned with a racist. And Olivia's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. And she refuses to go into it. I'm not going to say anymore because, again, I'm going to have to recap it next week when they finally give us the scene. But Venita just ends up feeling terrible and doesn't get any resolution and has to like figure out a way to make Olivia feel better about it. And I'm livid by the end of the clip that they have. I'll probably post it. You can also find it on bravotv.com because it's everywhere. But yeah, I'm very upset with Southern Charm. Okay. Not like they care about what I feel, but there you go. This was too much filler. So get to the goddamn point already. Get me there. And if I'm going to have to I don't care about Kathryn and Chleb, especially since we know they are not together anymore. So if it's going to be a breakup, get back together, breakup, get back together, boring. And Taylor and Shep have not evolved into anything new because Shep admitted, he's like, oh yeah, we've had a conversation about our future and it is the exact same one you've seen already. And we've gotten nowhere. And yeah, same exact place. Learned nothing. Cool. Great. Any kind of tension with Craig and Paige that they're going to try to build up. It's like, well, we know that they're fine. I do know a little tea, but I'm not going to say it, about a couple that forms that you will never see coming. Am I excited about it? I don't know. It's just weird. And the reason I'm not going to say is because it's not fun to know everything that's coming. It truly isn't. It does kind of take the joy away of watching the whole season fresh, you know? And let's see, what else do we have? If I do any more of this Whitney being a bad butler bit, like cut to the chase. Okay, move it along. And what else we got? Oh, Austen and Olivia. Okay, are they still together? They're still together, right? I try not to keep up on too much Austen Kroll. He may even have me blocked. He never comes up. No, I'm not blocked. I can still see his stuff. I can't remember. Anywho. So yeah, that's my bitter Southern Charm recap, guys. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please give me a like on this video. If you are new here, please comment below so I can start to get to know you guys. And thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not already. And if you're listening on the pod, rate me 5 stars, please. And leave a review. Say hi. And also, I've got my Facebook group now. It is going to be linked in the description. So check that out if you're interested in connecting with each other, because I swear you guys are all pretty, well, for the most part, you're all pretty funny and often have a lot of the same opinions. So I feel like you would connect and kind of grow on each other's thoughts and feelings. So let's make a little chat. What? That doesn't make sense. What did I call? I think I called it Let's Speak Bravo. So there we go. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day or night or weekend or week, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you next time. Bye.